What do you do when your whole life is defined by someone else's shadow? When every step you take is measured against someone better? I was always Emily's little brother, the kid who could never measure up. Until a lie tore my family apart, and forced me to find out who I really am. Stick around. You might see yourself in it. My name is Alex, and I'm 29 years old. For as long as I can remember, I've been known as Emily's little brother. My older sister, Emily, was the golden child in everyone's eyes. Straight-A student, president of the student council, star of the church choir, and always wearing that perfect, radiant smile. Neighbors would gush about her to their own kids. Why can't you be more like Emily? She's going places. She was the kind of person who seemed to glide through life effortlessly, leaving sparkles in her wake. And me? I was the quiet one. The kid who'd rather sketch in a notebook than kick a soccer ball. The one who didn't have a trophy case or a wall of certificates. I wasn't a failure, but I was never enough. My mother's voice echoes in my head even now. If you just put in half the effort your sister does, Alex, you could be amazing too. Those words stung, not because they were cruel, but because they were constant, a reminder that I was always falling short. Dad was different. He worked 2 jobs, mornings at a warehouse, evenings at a hardware store, and came home bone-tired. He didn't have the energy to weigh in on Mom's comparisons. He'd just nod, pat my shoulder, and say, "You're doing fine, kid." But fine never felt like enough when Emily was extraordinary. So, it was always me, Mom, and Emily's shadow, looming large over our little house in suburban Ohio. I wasn't bitter, not exactly. I loved Emily. She wasn't mean, she'd help me with homework or sneak me extra dessert when Mom wasn't looking. But her perfection was a weight I couldn't escape. Every teacher I had in school knew her first. "Oh, you're Emily's brother?" She was such a star in my class. I'd smile, nod, and bury myself in my sketchbook, where I could be someone other than Emily's brother. Things shifted after college. Emily graduated with honors, landed a corporate job, got married to a handsome lawyer named Mark, and moved 2 states away to Chicago. Soon after, she had her first baby, a chubby-cheeked girl named Lily. Mom was over the moon. Every phone call was about Emily's latest milestone. Emily's redecorating her house. Emily's throwing Lily the cutest first birthday party. Emily's so good at balancing work and motherhood. Mom would send me photos of Lily in frilly dresses, her voice practically glowing through the phone. "You should visit your sister more, Alex. You could learn a thing or two." I stayed in our hometown, teaching art at the local high school. It wasn't a glamorous job, but I loved it. My students were a mix of misfits and dreamers, kids who reminded me of myself at their age. I'd spend hours helping them find their voice through charcoal and paint, watching their faces light up when they created something they were proud of. For the first time, I felt like I was doing something that mattered. But at family dinners, my work was barely a footnote. "Emily just got promoted again." Mom would announce, her eyes sparkling. "That's great, Mom," I'd reply, poking at my mashed potatoes. "You should think about getting your master's, Alex." Emily finished hers in record time. It was a script we'd played out 100 times. I'd nod, change the subject, and try not to let the words sink too deep. But they did. Every comparison was a reminder that I was still the lesser child, the one who hadn't quite figured it out. Everything changed last year when Dad got sick. Stage 3 colon cancer. The diagnosis hit like a freight train. One day he was the quiet, steady man who fixed leaky faucets and mowed the lawn. The next, he was frail, tethered to hospital machines. Life as we knew it ground to a halt. I took unpaid leave from my teaching job and moved back into the family house to help. I drove Dad to chemo, sat with him through long, sterile hospital waits, and made sure he took his meds. Mom was a wreck, crying one minute, snapping at me the next. Emily wanted to come, but she had excuses. Lily was too young to travel, her job was too demanding, Mark was swamped. So, it was mostly me and Mom, navigating the chaos of doctor's appointments and insurance paperwork. Those months were brutal. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. to drive Dad to the hospital, spend hours in waiting rooms, then come home to cook dinner and collapse. But something unexpected happened. Mom and I got closer. We'd sit in the hospital cafeteria, sharing bad coffee and stories about Dad's old quirks, like how he used to sing off-key to Beatles songs in the car. For the first time, we laughed together, cried together, prayed together. One night, after a particularly rough chemo session, Mom looked at me, her eyes soft, and said, "You've really grown up, Alex. I'm proud of you." Those words were oxygen. I clung to them, replaying them in my head during the long drives home. For the first time, I felt seen, not as Emily's shadow, but as me. When Dad's scans finally showed improvement and he was strong enough to go home, I thought we'd made it through the worst. I thought we'd be a family again. I was wrong. It started with a phone call from Emily, her voice sharp and accusing. "Hey, Mom said you took Dad's hospital money to fix your car. Is that true?" I froze, the phone heavy in my hand. "What? No. What are you talking about?" She sighed, like I was a child caught in a lie. "Mom said $1,500 is missing from the emergency fund. You were the only one with access." My heart pounded. I hung up and stormed to Mom's room, my hands shaking. She was sitting on the couch, knitting, looking like she'd been expecting me. "Your sister called, didn't she?" she said, not looking up. "Yeah. Why is she saying I stole Dad's money?" Mom set her needles down, her face unreadable. "I'm not saying you stole it, Alex, but the money's gone, and you were the one handling it." The room spun. I pulled out the folder we'd kept together, receipts for gas, prescriptions, hospital parking, every penny accounted for. "Look at this, Mom. It's all here. I didn't take anything." She barely glanced at the papers. "Maybe you forgot to write something down," she said, her voice cold, distant. "Mistakes happen. Mistakes." That word cut deeper than any accusation. It wasn't about the money, it was about her believing I was capable of something so low. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Mom's face, her eyes looking through me like I was a stranger. Then I saw Emily's Facebook post, "So thankful to be raised by honest parents who taught me right from wrong, red heart." The comments poured in, "You're such a great daughter, Emily. Your brother could learn a thing or two." And there, at the top, was Mom's like. It felt like a betrayal carved into stone. I tried to hold it together. I told myself it was a misunderstanding, that we'd sort it out. But when Emily visited a month later for Dad's birthday, the dam broke. She waltzed into the house with her perfect family, Mark in a pressed suit, Lily in a pink dress, smiling like nothing was wrong. I couldn't take it. "Why'd you tell people I stole Dad's money?" I asked, my voice shaking. She blinked, then gave me that fake, gentle smile. "Oh, come on, Alex. You know Mom worries about you. You've always been careless." I was just protecting her. Protecting her? I snapped. "By making me look like a thief?" She rolled her eyes. "You're so dramatic. That's why nobody trusts you." The words hit like a slap. I turned to Mom, who was standing in the kitchen, slicing cake. "Mom, say something." She froze, her knife hovering over the frosting. Her eyes darted between us, then settled on the floor. She didn't say a word. That silence was louder than any accusation. I felt something break inside me. Not because they didn't believe me, but because I realized they never wanted to. In their eyes, I was the screw-up, the one who'd always fall short of Emily's shine. I couldn't stay in that room. I grabbed my keys and left, the sound of Emily's laughter trailing behind me. I moved out a week later. I rented a small apartment near the school, threw myself into my work, and stopped calling home. I still checked on Dad through his doctor, making sure he was okay, but I couldn't face Mom. Every time I thought of her, I saw that cold, distant look in her eyes. Months passed. I started therapy, dragging myself to a small office every Thursday to unpack years of feeling like I wasn't enough. My therapist, Dr. Carter, was a soft-spoken woman who pushed me to confront the pain I'd buried. "You can't control how they see you," she said. "But you can control how you see yourself." It sounded cliché, but it was a lifeline. I learned to live with the silence. I filled my days with teaching, sketching, and small joys, a coffee shop I liked, a student's breakthrough painting, a quiet evening with a book. I was building a life that felt like mine. But the hurt lingered, a bruise that ached when I thought of home. Then, one morning, Dad called. His voice was shaky, barely audible. "Your mother fell, Alex. She's in the hospital. You should come." I didn't think. I just went. Walking into that hospital room was like stepping into a memory. Mom lay in the bed, her face pale and small against the white sheets. Emily was there, holding her hand, her eyes red from crying. Dad stood in the corner, looking older than I'd ever seen him. The air was thick with tension. When Mom saw me, she burst into tears. "Alex," she sobbed, "I'm so sorry." I stood frozen, unsure what to say. She kept going, her words spilling out. "I should have trusted you. Emily told me she took the money. She said she was going to replace it before I found out, but she didn't want to disappoint me." My heart stopped. I looked at Emily, who was glaring at Mom. "Mom, I told you that in confidence," she snapped, her voice sharp. Mom ignored her, tears streaming down her face. "You let me destroy my relationship with my son over that." The room erupted. Emily tried to argue, her voice rising. Dad stepped in, his face a mix of anger and exhaustion. Nurses came to calm things down. Emily stormed out, her heels clicking against the tile. I stood there, torn between fury and heartbreak. I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand why Mom had chosen Emily's lies over me, why she'd let me carry the weight of their distrust. But looking at her, frail, trembling, drowning in her own guilt, I realized she was already punishing herself. No words from me could hurt her more than her own regret. So I took a deep breath and said, quietly, I forgive you, Mom. I meant it. But forgiveness didn't mean erasing the scars. It didn't mean things would go back to how they were. Emily never apologized. She still sends occasional texts, hope you're doing well. Like nothing happened. I don't respond. I can't. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Mom and I talk sometimes, but it's different now. We stick to safe topics, the weather, Dad's checkups, my students' latest projects. We don't talk about that night in the hospital. We don't talk about Emily. It's like we're both tiptoeing around a wound, afraid to press too hard. Dad and I are closer than ever. He calls every weekend, and we've started having dinner together, nothing fancy, just burgers at the diner he loves. He doesn't talk about the past, but he listens when I need to vent, and that's enough. The scars are still there, but they're fading. They don't define me anymore. They're a reminder, not of the pain, but of the strength it took to survive it. If you're reading this and you've ever been the less favored child, the one who's always compared to someone else, I want you to know something: your worth isn't tied to the version of you your parents wanted. It's not about their approval or their apologies. Sometimes, the love you crave most isn't meant to be healed, it's meant to be released. Real peace doesn't come when they finally see you. It comes when you stop needing them to. Update, 3 months later. Mom's doing better. She's out of the hospital, walking with a cane but regaining her strength. She surprised me by starting therapy, saying she wants to unlearn the way she raised us. I don't know if she'll ever fully understand the damage she caused, but she's trying, and that's something. Dad and I have our weekly dinners now, and they're the highlight of my week. We talk about everything: his old job, my students, even the sketches I've been working on. He keeps saying he wants to frame one for the living room. I laugh it off, but it means the world. Emily didn't show up to our last family dinner. She texted some excuse about work, but I didn't care. For the first time, her absence didn't sting. I wasn't competing for a spot in her shadow anymore. I was just Alex, art teacher, son, survivor. And for the first time, that felt like enough.